So trust me when I tell you that these kids, like I said, unless they are some just natural born sociopaths, at their age, all of them are probably going to do no more than 8 years, because I think the youngest one they said was 12 and she's probably 13 now. If they lock her up till she's 21, that's 8 years. So the maximum that all of them will ever do is 8 years. But they'll probably get less than that, because this girl got 3 years. So they might give them about 5, 6 years or something like that. And then they're not going to a hardcore prison where there's adults. They're going to a they're going to juvenile detention. So they'll get out at 21. Let's say they do get held to the 21. You, at that age, they're going to begin to grasp, and probably before that, they don't understand the extent of the trauma that they have inflicted upon the victim and his loved ones now. But when it hits them, when it hits their conscience, it is going to break their hearts, and they're going to live with this guilt for the rest of their lives, to know that they are responsible for taking a person's life that you can never give back, for causing this loss to this family that you will never be able to heal. You will never be able to compensate. You will never be able to repair this damage that you've done. And just the way that you beat this man senselessly and mercilessly because you were bored. You were at a skating rink. You could have went skating, but they were kids. These are kids with childish mentality and juvenile delinquents, pretty much. But when they grow up and they begin to understand and grasp the severity of their crime, they're going to be so riddled with guilt for the rest of their lives that they're going to some of them going to go crazy. Some of them probably going to turn to hard drugs to cope with it, or alcoholism. Or if they're a sociopath and just don't care, then they're going to turn into even more hardened criminals and will go on to kill again. Because they said this one girl has already had a previous robbery attempt, and then one of the 12-year-old girls was shot by a masked gunman in her apartment. Like I said, it could have been Mr. Brown's relatives that did that, or she may have been into some other street stuff, some other funk that she had in the streets or whatever. But you're 12 years old and you're getting shot in the leg. Somebody running up in your house and shooting you in the leg at 12 years old. What on earth are you doing out in them streets? Where are your parents? And like I said, I don't know what the situation is, because you don't know who the parents are. You don't know their background. It could be that they have parents that just work and might leave them at home during the evening, or they skip school and they don't know what they're doing when they're skipping school. I used to skip school a lot too at that age, so they don't know what, you don't know what your kids are doing at that age. And it just seemed like these were a bunch of followers, and they were out to do no good. They said they didn't have nothing to do. They were bored, and what, it says idle mind is the devil's workshop. So I just, you got to pray for these kids, because they're going to have a hard road ahead of them. Their juvenile records are going to be sealed, but still, just the gravity, the weight of the burden of having to live with themselves for what they done to Mr. Brown is going to eat at them until for the rest of their lives. So hopefully, we pray to the Lord that they turn it around and use this tragedy and turn it into a positive thing by doing good, in the world, and just moving forward with their lives in a positive way. But this is so sad. It's so heartbreaking. This is so heartbreaking. And that family is never going to heal from this. But it's another heartbreaking case that happened with another young person. There was a 22-year-old young man who was fatally stabbed while he was on his break at his job at McDonald's. And this happened in Jackson, Mississippi. His name was Christopher Boris, and he was 22 years old. And he was killed by a homeless woman who was also 22 years old. She was at his job, sitting in the restaurant in the dining room, using the free Wi-Fi. And it doesn't say, but I'm thinking that this woman probably asked him for some money, or she may have been mentally ill, or she just may be one of those type of people that had nothing to lose. And you see it sometimes with homeless people. They get so desperate to where they'll commit a crime, a serious crime, just to get off the street so they can have 3 hots in a cot for the rest of their lives or for a very long time. They will commit a crime like this because, they may be mentally ill, or they may have violent tendencies and things like that. But for some reason, they can't maintain out here on the street. And so they do this. They commit a serious crime in order to go to jail to get off the street. You see that in some people, especially people who have been locked up in jail for most of their lives. They don't know how to function out here on the street. They'll do something to go back to jail, in order to have some stability in their lives. And it's so unfortunate that this young man had to pay, his life because of whatever issues this woman is having. But they got her on a $2 million bond, and she looked off. Her mug shot looked like, yeah, she's off. There's something wrong with this lady. She's severely disturbed. Anytime you're at McDonald's and you have a butcher knife and you stab somebody to death and you didn't even know him. They said he had no connection to this woman. It's just another senseless murder. And it's really sad. So if she is in her right mind, she's going to answer to God one day for this. So I don't know. It's just sad. She may have been insane. I don't know. Mentally ill. But no telling. It's just I'm gonna try to follow this case and see what the update is on this. But yeah. In other news, there's a perverted pastor in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Has been charged with 2 felonies for stealing intimate photos out of his members' cell phones. And the phones had, just probably nude photos of their wives. And this pastor somehow got access to their phones. I think they said he was installing an app. He got it somehow through an app, and he transferred those intimate photos of those men's wives to his own phone. And he began to distribute these ladies' photos to others without permission. They didn't even know he had the photos, for one. And then he distributed them to other people. And then they said he started sending intimate photos of himself. So when he got arrested for one case, he got fired from the church that he pastored at. It was called Journey Church in Kenosha. And while he was having his hearing at his hearing for the first case, he got charged with the second case. So now the authorities are trying to see if there are other victims out there whose photos he may have, and he's distributing them to people and they don't know nothing about it. So they're doing an investigation now to, see if there are other victims in the church or out in public or whatever that he may have done this to. This is a pastor. And this is why, and we wonder why there's such a great falling away. Because you have people like this in the church, in leadership positions, leading these people. It's like a blind shepherd leading a flock of foolish lambs, a foolish sheep, a flock of fools. If you follow this type of leadership, this person but the church may not have knew, because they immediately fired him when he got arrested for this. So, the church may not have had no knowledge. They probably didn't. So let me not say that, But sometimes you'll know that pastor is rotten, and you still sit up under his leadership knowing this. and you only go, you continue to go there because you like the pastor's personality, or you getting, you have, some other benefit for going to that church, and you stay up under this type of leadership knowing that you have this type of stuff going on in these churches. That's like I said, that's a shepherd for the devil leading a flock of fools. So there was another good story, a positive story of a pastor in Bristol over in the UK who was arrested and censored for performing street outreach. He's a pastor and he conducts like street outreach, and he goes on the street corners and he preaches. And so he was arrested for that, and he was censored by the authorities. And this is like the second story I've saw about over in the UK. I guess they don't have free speech over there or something, because there was another pastor who was arrested for silently praying at an abortion clinic. And they said, they censored him too. But this pastor, his name is Dia Moodley, and he's a pastor over there in UK, and he sued and he won because, that violated his religious rights. So obviously, over in the UK, they do have some type of civil rights and religious rights because he did win his case. But again, it says in the end times that Christians will be prosecuted, for their faith. And that's what they're doing over in the UK. So good for him that he won his case. And he's continuing to be a street preacher to spread the gospel, because it's needed in this world right about now, and these end times, and people, their souls are so lost and their hearts are so hardened. But what else is going on? Did I tell y'all about the case with the archdiocese? Did we go over that already? The archdiocese in LA just settled a case with 1,300 plaintiffs for $888 million, almost $1 billion. Sometimes I get distracted in all these other cases. But yeah, in false prophet news, that's all the stories that I have on that. The guy in Kenosha, Wisconsin, with the photos, and then this other guy, he's not a false prophet. He got persecuted in the UK. But this Pope and this Catholic Church, they're going to mess around and go bankrupt. But then I don't know, because there are, like I said, they got billions of members all over the world, but they have been paying out some big money for this pedophilia that has been going on in that church for decades and decades, and probably still going on in the church. And they're going to keep on paying out lawsuits in the hundreds of millions of dollars. $888 million. 1,300 plaintiffs. I didn't even do the math to see what they get. Whatever it was, it's still not worth, the trauma of being sexually abused by a clergy person in the church. That's so traumatizing. So no amount of money can compensate the victims for that at all. What else? We talked about Sinwar. Sinwar is dead. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, there was another earthquake. Turkey had an earthquake. I think it was like a 5.9. It's almost a 6.0 on the Richter. Yeah, it was 6.0 magnitude, 5.9. And they said that they felt it as far as Syria. So that was in Turkey. What are you chiming about? So yeah. What else? We talked about Mr. Brown on the anniversary of his death today. Elon Musk, they said he's donated so far $75 million to Donald Trump's campaign. And so I said that with him, He's going on the campaign trail and attending rallies and stuff for him. This man got something up his sleeve to where I think that, excuse me, y'all, he's trying to get a government contract or something, or he's trying to get a position, a government position, be appointed to a government position or a cabinet position or something. He's not an American. He wasn't born over here in America, so I'm wondering, can he be? I think he can be a member of Trump's cabinet, or he can be. Yeah, Trump said he's going to give him some type of position in government. But he's definitely doing this. He has a motive. He has an agenda that he's putting so much money behind Trump. $75 million. He could put $1 billion behind him if he wanted to, but he's trying to get either some government contracts for that Starlinks and that SpaceX stuff that he's doing, to play with some more rockets, get some more government funding to play with more rockets, or he's trying to get a government post, a government appointment, or he might be trying to do both. And Trump probably has promised this to him. But what he don't know is, well, he's the richest man in the world, so if Trump cross him, he's going to have some problems. But what he doesn't realize is that Trump is not loyal to nobody, so he can promise him all kind of stuff just for him to, give that money to him. Don't mean he's going to deliver. Or even if he do give him a position or a contract, Trump is the type, he'll snatch it right from you. You do something to piss him off. So good luck with that. What else we got here? There's been a video that's going viral about a young man who, I already talked about that in the other video. I'm not going to go rehash that. But look at the video about the young man that was being followed in a Florida neighborhood down in Sarasota, Florida, in a neighborhood by a group of white men. I did an update where they found out these men's identities, and one of the men, they got him suspended from his job. The man's wife came on and was defending him and all kind of stuff, but they ended up finding out who these people were quick. So, yeah. But I did an extensive video on that, so we're going to move on from there. Okay, we talked about the earthquake in Turkey. Okay. And then the comet. I hope you guys catch the comet. I did a video about that too. So, yeah, I think I've touched on everything. There's a lot going on. But y'all better stay tuned, because this stuff with Iran, and now that they've murdered Yahya Sinwar, this stuff is about to heat up even more. And now you got Zelensky over there in Ukraine talking about nukes. He ain't been talking about nukes before. Now he's talking about nukes. So y'all just keep watch, be prepared for the worst, because this stuff is escalating day by day by day. And a lot of people are just so distracted with all this other stuff that they're not going to be prepared for what's about to come. So that's why we make these videos. Me and a lot of other people make these videos to just let y'all know what's going on, because a lot of people just don't follow these things because they don't care about it until it's directly affecting their lives, and it's, something happens over here in America directly, just the impact is felt right then and there. But other than that, people are so caught up and distracted with other stuff that they don't pay attention to this stuff before it happens, in order to be better prepared for when it does happen. So y'all be blessed. I'm going to continue to follow the news throughout the day. I'm going to upload this. This usually takes a long time to upload, but yeah, I'm going to upload it, and I might be back later on tonight. So yeah, take care, be blessed, and I'll talk to you again later on, Lord willing. Peace. There's also a case out of Wisconsin about this pastor who was a pastor at a church called Journey Church out of Kenosha, Wisconsin. And apparently he had a thing for stealing intimate photos of his members' wives and transferring them to his phone and sharing them with others without permission. And then they said something about he was also sharing photos of himself, intimate photos of himself. I don't know, what, he was arrested twice for this. So they said they're still now waiting to see if other victims would come forward and see if he may have done this to others. But so far he was arrested twice for, I guess, do you call that revenge porn? Or what do you call it? Just, you stealing naked pictures of your members' wives and then sharing them with other people and then sending naked pictures of you to, I guess, to the wives or to the men. I don't know. But I'm posting a video up there, and I don't know what this dude's deal was, but he ended up losing his job at the church, of course, after he got arrested. And they said he went to his hearing for the first case, felony charge, and then while he was at the hearing on the first case, he got arrested for the second case. So he's looking at 2 felony charges of distributing porn, I guess, now. He was a pastor of a church. Ugh. And that's the reason why you have this great falling away that the scripture talks about in the end time, because of the behavior of these false prophets, these people in these churches, these clergy members and stuff. That's, these demons that's in the church, posing as pastors and preachers and, popes. So, yes, that's the reason why. That's part of the reason for the great falling away, because of the behavior that's going on in the church. And you got more people in the church that want to behave like, people in the world and not be separate, as the Bible has instructed us to do. And so that's why people don't even take the church seriously anymore. They don't take church people seriously. They don't take church seriously anymore. And then the ones that do, a lot of them feel like that they can have 1 foot in and 1 foot out and be lukewarm, because that's the behavior of the leadership in their church and what they see out here in the media. It's all these pastors getting caught up in all this stuff. They claim T.D. Jakes went to Diddy's parties, and but that's only been rumors or whatever, because just because you see Jakes in pictures with Diddy doesn't mean that he indulged in any of the freak offs or anything like that. So until something is proven and there's some video like Cassie was able to produce, then that's just allegations. We don't know for sure if T.D. Jakes was in fact engaging in the baby oil festivities. So there was another case in Bristol, England, and we're talking about persecution of pastors, Christians in the end time, that's taking place all over the world. There was a case of a pastor. His name was Pastor Dia Moodley, and he's in Bristol in the UK. I think Bristol is in England. But anyway, he's a pastor of a church, and he has like a street outreach thing where he goes on the corner and he preaches the gospel. So he was street preaching, and he got arrested and censored because he was preaching Christianity. And so he sued and he won. And his case, it was very unfortunate because it took him a minute, but he ended up fighting for his right to free speech, because they actually censored him and told him that he can't preach against homosexuality, he can't preach against other religions, he can't preach the gospel of Christianity. And they just outright just violated his freedom of speech. But I don't know if that's what they call it in England and the UK. But, they have some type of civil rights over there to where he won. He sued and he won, because they can't stop him from exercising his right to religion. But the scripture said that Christians in this end time, in the last days, will be persecuted, some prosecuted, some killed, because of their beliefs. And that's what's happening. And so I'm going to post a video of Pastor Moodley's case, and what he had to go through because of his Christianity. So.
Turning now to the Middle East, the Biden administration said today Israel is taking steps to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. It comes after the U.S. warned Israel it was at risk of losing access to weapons funding. Israel, meanwhile, resumed its attacks on Hezbollah in the suburbs of Beirut, Lebanon. CBS's Deborah Pata is there, and we warn you that some of the images that you're going to see are graphic.
Israeli jets pounded southern Lebanon today, and despite U.S. concern over Israel's bombing campaign in Beirut, there were a series of strikes around the capital. This comes a day after Hezbollah vowed to strike deeper inside Israel. The Israeli military says it's targeting Hezbollah strongholds, but there have been more than 2,000 casualties and nearly 11,000 wounded, many of them civilians. At Lebanon's only burn unit, the hospital has tripled its usual number of beds. In this ward, it even hurts to breathe. But it's the war's youngest victims that are particularly difficult for nurse Ali Humeida. It's terrible to see children in pain, he told us, especially when there isn't much we can do. Already, 21-month-old Ivana has learned to dread the men and women in blue scrubs. I'm almost done, Humeida reassures her. She's covered in burns from head to toe. The slightest touch is excruciating. Her mother, Fatima Zayun, told us their house was hit by a rocket over 3 weeks ago. I saw my daughter on fire, she said. Since then, she's been inconsolable.
What do you hope for now?
I don't care about anything, she said. I just want my daughter to get better.
Around 1.2 million people have fled their homes because of the war. Aid organizations are having to deal with a massive influx of displaced people looking for food and shelter. Nora?
Deborah Pata, thank you.
A wave of attacks in and around one of South Lebanon's biggest cities, Nabatiyeh. The Israeli military says the target was an underground tunnel network used by Hezbollah, as well as its military command centers. But a local government building was hit, and the mayor is among the dead.
And targeting its municipality buildings shows that Israel not only wants to destroy Hezbollah's military power, but also its social and political fabric in the south of Lebanon and in Lebanese society in general.
Israel's offensive against Hezbollah is in its fourth week. It's tearing apart lives and crushing livelihoods. The UN says the military has escalated what it calls indiscriminate and large-scale air raids across Lebanon.
For the first time in days, the Israeli military resumed strikes on what it calls Hezbollah's military assets in Beirut's southern suburb. This just a few hours after Lebanon said it received a kind of guarantee from the U.S. administration that Israel would ease its attacks on the capital.
Hezbollah has told Israel the solution is a ceasefire and says it is ready to discuss other issues after one is implemented. However, there's been no serious mediation attempt to stop the conflict.
We see Hezbollah continue to operate across Lebanon, and Israel does have a right to defend itself against those terrorists who pose a threat to the state of Israel. But we've had real concerns about the nature of the campaign that we saw roll out across Beirut over the past few weeks.
It's been more intense than the war in 2006, killing nearly 2,000 people in the past month. While official figures don't distinguish between fighters and civilians, at times, strikes have wiped out entire families. It's not clear whether Israel's campaign is limited to creating a new security reality its troops now operate across the border, or whether this is about significantly damaging Hezbollah. The military has called for a new mechanism to implement UN Resolution 1701, which ended the previous conflict 18 years ago.
We need to impose a 1701, a fully imposed 1701 this area, so Hezbollah can never be next to our border with such infrastructure.
Israel believes the UN peacekeeping force and Lebanon's army have failed to prevent Hezbollah from building up a military presence along the border. It now says it will do so. Hezbollah is still fighting back, expanding the geographical reach of its missiles and the severity of its assaults. It's still too early to declare the armed group defeated. This is a war that may still be in its early days. Zana Khuder, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
To see that young man lying on the floor and had lost his life to violence here in the city of Jackson was very disturbing.
Police Chief Joseph Wade responding to a deadly stabbing inside of a McDonald's Sunday on Hanging Moss Road. 22-year-old Destiny Gibson still blood smeared on her face in this mugshot. Police say she stabbed 22-year-old Christopher Boris to death. It was all captured on video.
I saw snippets of it myself yesterday, and he was brutally attacked by this young lady.
After being taken into JPD custody, Gibson faced a judge in court Monday morning. An investigator on the scene said she and Boris did not know each other. The investigator says they both were sitting in the dining area of the restaurant. Gibson was using the Wi-Fi while Boris, an employee of the McDonald's, was eating lunch. Chief Wade says that's when they exchanged words and Gibson attacked Boris with a large knife, stabbing him multiple times.
Whatever the verbal exchange was, it did not justify you producing this very large knife and taking this young man's life.
Gibson's attorney revealed that she is homeless and has only been living in Jackson for 5 years. The judge decided she is a danger to the citizens of Jackson. Her bond is set at $2 million.
$2 million bond. She's been charged with murder, and that is the message we have to send here in the city of Jackson. Our criminal justice system cannot be a revolving door.
Brooklyn Joyner, 16 WAPT News.
We've got some new information tonight on the fatal beating of a disabled man last October in the district.
Reggie Brown was out for a late-night walk in Northwest. As he walked along Georgia Avenue, police say a group of teenage girls attacked him. 5 were charged in the case. 2 have pled guilty.
Today, during the trial for 2 of the girls, testimony revealed a stunning and disturbing reason for the beating. News 4's Paul Wagner was there in the courtroom and has the story.
Good evening. One of the 5 girls accused of taking part in the fatal beating of Reggie Brown and has already pled guilty in this case, took the stand and testified for the prosecution. When she was asked what they were doing that night, she replied that they were out looking to beat someone up. And when the prosecutor asked why, she replied, "We were bored." The first girl to plead guilty in the case took the stand today in juvenile court and revealed what took place in the moments leading up to the beating. The girl, now 15 and testifying under a grant of immunity, said as the 5 walked up Georgia Avenue, they saw a man only identified as Blue Coat beating Reggie Brown. The 15-year-old said Mr. Brown was on the ground. He was being attacked. By who, said the prosecutor. A man. He was wearing a blue coat. He pushed Mr. Brown to the ground. He then walked up to us, and I asked him why he was beating him up. What did he say? I don't remember what he said. I asked if we could help. He said yes. Blue Coat has never been identified. The 15-year-old, contrary to prior testimony in the case, told the court Blue Coat never threatened them if they refused to take part in the beating. The prosecutor said, what happened next? We started hitting him. His pants got pulled off. I kicked him. Was Mr. Brown saying anything? He said, stop. Did he say anything else? He stopped talking. I stepped back because I noticed something was wrong. As the prosecutor played the video of the beating one of the girls recorded on her cell phone that night, 2 of Brown's sisters walked out of the courtroom. The video shows the girl stomping on Brown's head. He appears to be unconscious and bleeding. We spoke with 2 of Brown's sisters outside the courthouse. You sat in there and watched that video. I mean, that was really hard.
I listened. I watched some and I listened. From what I heard, they know that boy. They all rejoice together. A stranger don't rejoice with you like that. They rejoice as friends.
The 15-year-old testified today she does not know who Blue Coat is. During a morning motions hearing, the judge revealed a second girl has pleaded guilty in the case.
but it's unclear when that happened and what charge she pleaded guilty to. The trial resumes tomorrow. At D.C. Superior Court, Paul Wagner, News 4.
The 15-year-old girl who pleaded guilty and testified for the prosecution today was sentenced last week to 3 years in a secure juvenile detention facility.
34 is the time right now. In about 4 hours, the trial of the case of the man beaten to death in Northwest D.C. continues.
And this comes as we mark 1 year since Mr. Reggie Brown was killed. And Annie's been following this case closely, joins us now with a recap of the trial so far. Just a disturbing case of violence here.
Devastating to the family. Police say Reggie Brown was brutally beaten to death in an alley on Georgia Avenue Northwest, D.C., October 17th of last year. 5 young teenage girls were charged in his death, and on Thursday, the first of those girls was sentenced. A 15-year-old girl will spend 3 years in a secure detention after she pled guilty. Investigators say she kicked Brown once in the torso, but her attorneys argued her involvement was not as severe as her fellow defendants because officials say the blows to Brown's head were ultimately the cause of death. Brown's family was in court during that sentencing, and his sister told us, quote, she was remorseful, she showed empathy, and she apologized to the family. So therefore, we think that Judge Briggs made an excellent decision on behalf of our family, end quote. The 4 other girls were all charged with either first or second degree murder, and two of those girls resume trial today at 10 a.m. We will have a crew in the courtroom to keep you updated. Allison Wisdom, over to you.
A landmark settlement has been reached tonight with the Catholic Archdiocese of Los Angeles to settle more than 1,300 claims of childhood sexual abuse.
The Archdiocese will pay $880 million to victims, making it the largest single child sex abuse settlement with the Catholic Archdiocese. KTLA's Alina Bovian joins us live in downtown L.A. with more. Alina.
Hi, good evening. That's right. We're talking about nearly $900 million for this settlement tied to 1,300 cases of childhood sexual abuse, and all of them relating to the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. Now, this goes back decades, for nearly a century. And the reason it took so long for all this to happen is because of the newly enacted California Assembly Bill 218, AB 218, which provided a 3-year window to revive some of these civil claims of past sexual abuse involving minors. Now, this is the largest single child sex abuse settlement with a Catholic Archdiocese, involving more than 100 priests, some of them facing criminal charges going back to the 1950s to present. In 2007, the LA Archdiocese settled sex abuse lawsuits on behalf of approximately 500 victims for $660 million. According to published reports, more than 3,000 lawsuits alleging sexual abuse of children have been filed in California against Catholic institutions under AB 218. Of the remaining cases, approximately 1,600 have been filed in Northern California, 500 in San Diego County, and about 200 in Orange County. The Diocese of Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento, Santa Cruz, and San Diego have filed bankruptcy protection in the wake of these lawsuits.
We've had a lot of survivors that have passed away while waiting for this result. But to his credit, the Archbishop stepped up. And unlike other dioceses throughout the state of California and across the nation, didn't file bankruptcy.
You know, I really feel that no amount of money is going to make right the wrong of innocence being stolen.
And to ensure that the victims in this case are paid out, we're told that the Archdiocese, they are tapping into their reserve to fund it. That is the very latest. I'm Lena Bovin here in downtown LA, KTLA 5 News.
Alina, thank you.
A strange turn of events in a Kenosha courtroom today. A pastor facing felony charges in one case arrested and escorted out in handcuffs for another case. 12 News' Hannah Hilliard says the minister is accused of sharing photos of someone without their consent.
Gabriel Mills, once a pastor at Journey Church in Kenosha, facing new criminal charges tonight.
We had another person come forward on October 5th that indicated that they believed they were also a victim.
Investigators first arrested Mills September 30th. A criminal complaint says a couple from the church was at Mills' home, where he offered to help download an audiobook to one of their phones. But instead it says he sent himself private photos of the wife she had taken of herself and had only ever sent to her husband.
We were contacted by the initial complainant, who informed us that there may be some intimate photos that were transferred from one phone to Mr. Mills' phone.
It was at the end of that court proceeding Wednesday when police slapped handcuffs on Mills for additional allegations.
You will see a lot of similarities between the two cases. There isn't much difference there.
The Kenosha Police Department says it has executed several search warrants in connection to this case, including one right here at Journey Church. They are now in possession of Mills' electronic devices.
Could there be more complainants out there?
Absolutely, and I think that you'll find as we dig through hundreds of thousands of files on Mr. Mills' electronic devices that we are going to be able to identify other victims.
A church spokesperson told 12 News, quote, "We are aware of the ongoing investigation and are cooperating with authorities," and told us he's been fired from Journey Church. In Kenosha, Hannah Hilliard, WISN 12 News.
Mills' attorney did not return our call. Investigators are asking anyone with information related to this case to contact Kenosha Police.
My name is Dia Mudley. I'm a Bristol-based pastor, husband of one, father of two, and I've engaged in occasional street preaching in Bristol for the last 5 years. I was unlawfully censored. I was forbidden from commenting on any other religion other than Christianity. And I was told I could not deliver any sermon at any time or place without first consulting with the public authorities. I realized that exploring legal remedies was my only option. For my congregation, this was difficult as the financial expenditure was potentially huge, but we knew what was at stake: our freedom to preach the gospel.
Dia's case reflects a dangerous and chilling trend in British policing, where officers enthusiastically police words rather than actual crimes. There is a push to remove Christianity from the public square. We've seen preaching banned, praying banned, and conversations banned. Here, Dia was effectively told that every other religion and atheism was afforded a higher degree of protection than the Christian faith. Dia successfully challenged Avon and Somerset police for disproportionately interfering with his freedom of religion, freedom of expression, and freedom of assembly, all of which are protected in domestic and international law.
After 2 long years, Avon and Somerset police have finally admitted that the conditions imposed upon me were disproportionate. My congregation and I are now free once again to share the good news of the gospel in our city. With support of ADF UK and Free Speech Union, I have received some measure of justice after being wrongfully silenced by authorities. But this creeping culture of censorship is detrimental to us all. Whatever we believe, we must challenge censorship wherever we see it.
Will you stand alongside those, like Dia, who are punished and persecuted for their faith?
Developing news from Turkey, and a magnitude 5.9 earthquake has hit the east. The epicenter was recorded in the region of Malatya, that's near the East Anatolian fault line. There are no immediate reports of casualties. The tremor was also felt in Syria's Hasaka, Deir ez-Zor and Aleppo provinces. Our correspondent Sinem Kosiolu is joining us on the phone. Sinem, tell us what you're hearing from local authorities about the situation where the earthquake struck.
Elizabeth, the local authorities have been saying since the earthquake hit the area that the teams are on the ground. They are trying to see what the extension of this earthquake is, but thankfully there are no casualties reported, even in the epicenter. But of course, the magnitude of the earthquake is pretty high, 5.9, which is nearly 6. It was 10 kilometers deep. But the experts who have been following these major fault lines in eastern Anatolia say that this is caused by the energy transfer of the earthquakes that happened in 2023, which hit 11 cities simultaneously in eastern Anatolia, killed thousands of people, and millions of people were uprooted after that earthquake. That's why People were very terrified. People were very afraid. The schools are closed in the afternoon today. There are no casualties, but of course it was enough to scare everyone, not only in the earthquake-hit area, but also in major big cities like Istanbul, Ankara, because none of the people in Turkey want to see any other earthquake again. Back to you.
Sinem, thank you for that. Sinem Kursiolu joining us on the phone.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get latest news from Al Jazeera.
Come here. Elon Musk gave around $75 million to his pro-Donald Trump super PAC in the span of 3 months, jumping to the top ranks of Republican donors.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
That's according to federal disclosures Tuesday, which show America PAC, which Musk founded 3 months ago, got through around $72 million of that from July to September. Musk's group focuses on turning out voters in closely contested states that could decide the election. And with the Trump campaign relying mostly on outside groups for canvassing voters, it means the billionaire plays an outsized role in the razor-thin election between Trump and Democrat Kamala Harris. But half a dozen sources tell Reuters the PAC encountered problems with contractors and hiring door knockers.
Vote, vote, vote.
Elon Musk, the world's richest man, took a sharp turn to the right this election. He endorsed Trump in July and appeared with him at a rally in Pennsylvania earlier this month. Musk's donations let him join an exclusive club of Republican megadonors, a list that includes banking heir Timothy Mellon and casino billionaire Miriam Adelson. America PAC declined to comment on the donations, and Musk had not commented as of late Tuesday.
The Republican nominee for president, Donald Trump, is currently awaiting sentencing for crimes involving a secret hush money payment he made to porn star Stormy Daniels just before the 2016 election to keep her from talking about him and specifically about having sex with him. And now, just before the 2024 election, Trump has once again demanded that Stormy Daniels sign on to an agreement not to talk about him, offering to knock thousands of dollars off her bill if she did it.
Okay, so it's almost sunset. Look like the sun has went down. And they're saying that you can witness, I don't know where you are, but they're saying that you can witness this comet that they say can be seen once every 80,000 years. They said that it's going to be visible. You can see this comet with the naked eye. You don't need any type of telescope, but they said if you got binoculars, you can view it with those even better. But you can see it, you know, with your eyes. If you look west, and it's going to appear like 30 minutes after sunset. So if you can, you know, you can get a little video of it on your phone or whatever, because you won't be able to see it no more for 80,000 years. Like, you're going to be around in 80,000 years anyway. They really don't know how long that comet, you know, is. They talking about 80,000 years, like as if they can see back that far, and they know back that far. They don't know. The Earth, well, only God can measure time in 80,000 years. Scientists think they know everything, but they're claiming that this comet only circles the Earth once every 80,000 years. So look at it, because you won't live for in the next 80,000 years, but when it comes back around. So it's nice to see. I mean, there's so many things that's happening in the sky back to back this year. The eclipses and the supermoons and the auroras, and it's something else that we're supposed to have this year. Star of Jacob, that was a Jewish tradition. Now, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't see it, but the Star of Jacob was said to appear this year. But so far, I haven't seen nobody with no video of it appearing. But that's in the Jewish tradition, so I don't know, you know, anything about that. I have yet to go, as I've been looking online to see if somebody actually filmed what is this Star of Jacob that was said to appear. But there's been other things that's happening, like, you know, like I said, the eclipses and this comet and all kind of other stuff, the auroras, the blood moons, the super moons, and all this stuff that's been happening lately, just back to back after each other. Man, the sky is doing some amazing things. And then I seen them, those rainbows, iridescent clouds. That's what they are. They're not rainbows. Iridescent clouds. I think I've seen like 3 of those in the past year. Iridescent clouds. There's just a lot of stuff going on. The flooding in the deserts and stuff like that. A lot of strange phenomena in the weather. But I'm gonna show the picture. I didn't know that these sheep. I didn't know these sheep. It was an amazing video. I'm gonna show it. They climb up the mountain and then they drop down the mountain and they don't get hurt. And I'm like, how is it they don't kill themselves from dropping down that mountain? So I guess that's why these people be thinking that they can do like these sheep and skip, go up these mountains and then just drop back down or whatever. But anyway, it is an amazing video that I'm gonna post up here that I got off of Telegram of these sheep coming down the mountain. So I'm gonna find another one and see if I can find, see how they go up the mountain and then they just drop down like that. You're gonna be like, wow, but I'm gonna post it up here. All right.
Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar is dead 377 days after ordering the murderous assault on Israel on October 7, 2023. Sinwar and other Hamas gunmen were killed in a firefight with Israeli troops operating in the Rafah area. DNA was taken from the body of Sinwar and flown to Israel for forensic confirmation using fingerprints and dental records. A firm DNA confirmation is expected to take several hours. The body of Sinwar and those of several other terrorists killed alongside the terrorist mastermind remained at the site of the exchange with IDF soldiers because the area was believed to be booby-trapped. The Prime Minister's office issued an announcement saying that there were no Israeli hostages found in the area. There had been reports that Sinwar was hiding among hostages throughout the war, using them as human shields. Security forces are carefully searching the area. The terrorists were killed when troops from the officers' training course who were operating in the area opened fire on a group of Hamas gunmen on the ground floor of a Gaza building. When soldiers entered the building, they suspected that one of the dead men looked like Sinwar. Sinwar was leader of Hamas in Gaza since 2017 and was the architect of the invasion and massacre in southern Israel in which thousands of terrorists murdered some 1,200 soldiers and civilians and took 251 hostages, sparking the war in Gaza. Sinwar became the political leader of Hamas after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran last July. It's unclear who will now take over as Hamas leader following Sinwar's demise and how it will impact Hamas moving forward. It's also unclear whether his death will make it easier or harder to negotiate a deal for the release of the remaining 101 Israeli hostages living and dead and still held by Hamas in Gaza.
That's a pew-pew in his hand. If I say it, they're going to take my video down, so I can't say it. But that's what that is. Sarasota, Florida, where this group of white people profile this black teen.
What's going on, buddy?
Nigga done brought a team out here.
Obviously, he doesn't live here.
The reason why I asked you to live here is for private community, so if you don't live here, you need to leave. So if you live here, you're visiting a friend, that's fine, just let us know, because you're getting neighbors concerned since you're walking around my house. I'm not walking around your house. Hold on, Steve. You've been past my house 4 times, I don't know you, I've never seen you here before, and you're walking past my house over and over again. So if you live here or you have a friend you're visiting here, that's fine. I'm not in front of your house. You're in front of my house. You're actually following me.
You went up the wrong way. We're just asking a question. You live out here?
I'm a part of the neighborhood.
You're part of the neighborhood? Does that mean you live here? It's simple.
Like, bro, what?
I'm asking a question. You live here? You went up to my wife.
Bro, I didn't go up to your wife, bro. I don't know who you're talking about. For real. And I think I can walk around my neighborhood.
If you live here, yeah. So you live here.
Right.
You live here.
You gonna keep asking me the same question over and over and over and over and over. This man following me. This is harassment, right?
You haven't answered yet.
That's harassment, right? That's harassment, right?
I think what you did to my wife, yes.
Look. He followed. You read it up.
Yes, he lives there. He absolutely lives there. And he doesn't have to answer to anybody who decides to profile him. He doesn't have to.
The fuck is y'all following? Why, bro? You don't tell me what the fuck I should not and should be. You better watch yourself. The fuck? I don't even want to I can't even be comfortable because look at this shit. Then y'all covering up the block way for people. They trying to walk and shit with their kids. These people out here following me and shit. This ain't weird. Look at the neighborhood creepers. The neighborhood creepers. Damn. What the fuck? Then Buddy, look at Buddy. He's still creeping.
Steve. No, Steve.
What the fuck? Hey, that's some weary shit, my boy. Damn. Yeah, they ran this bitch out here creating problems and shit. This shit wild as fuck.
I have to be honest, this video does not surprise me. While it is crazy and horrifying, it does not surprise me that this man here pulled out a weapon. He wanted to end his life for merely walking and existing. I'm not surprised by this video because I've seen so many videos like this. I've heard of so many stories like this. I mean, if this is surprising to you, what planet have you been living on? Have you heard of a boy named Trayvon Martin? Have you heard of Ahmaud Arbery? This is not uncommon. In fact, I've even covered a video about this very thing a couple years ago. It was called Oral and Boogers. It was about Howard Oral Hughes and Donald Corsi in Sanford, Florida, same place Trayvon Martin was murdered, where they decided that a black kid who was driving through their neighborhood, because he was visiting a friend, he had every right to be there, but they decided because he was going too fast that it was okay for them to throw a landscaping stone through his car window while he was driving, almost killing him, and then surrounding him, this kid yelling and cursing at him, and even one person had a gun on them, just like in this video here. Now, I didn't have a chance to identify everybody in this video because I put my full attention on identifying Steve here, the one who pulled out the weapon, and I don't even want to imagine what he was planning to do. If it wasn't for his friend having a moment of clarity and jumping in and getting between them, we all know what would have happened. Same thing that happened to Trayvon Martin. Same thing that happened to Ahmaud Arbery. Hello, Stephen Correga. Why did you draw a gun on him?
That changed, and today we spoke to Washburn University's astronomer chair to find out about the best time to catch a glimpse.
It's really nice if you go out 45 minutes to an hour after sunset, look in the west. You should be able to see it. It is getting dimmer now, but it's still quite visible, although it is best with binoculars.
It's our last chance for this one because this one's not going to be visible again for another 80,000 years. And she told us that another comet has been discovered, and that one might be close to the sun by the end of this month.